Oh hell yes! All the gloom and doom from Neil Gaiman himself and others was for naught as Netflix has officially renewed The Sandman for Season 2. I'm Troy from Marks on TV, and today we're bringing you all the news on the renewal of Netflix's The Sandman, courtesy of comicbook.com. The link to the article that we're going to be touching on today is in the video description. Before we begin, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell to be notified whenever we post new videos. We bring you new content every single day of the week, whether it's about TV, video games, movies, and of course, pro wrestling. And now, on with the story. Comicbook.com reports The Sandman renewed for Season 2 at Netflix. The Sandman will return for a second season, Netflix confirmed today. This article was written on Wednesday, November 2nd, by the way. The announcement comes after weeks of hoping and speculating among fans, even as The Sandman topped streaming charts for several of those weeks. Netflix was slow to renew the series. Executive producer Neil Gaiman, who co-created and wrote the original The Sandman comics, explained that this was due to the show's large budget. However, Netflix seemed to have decided that continuing the Sandman story for another season would be worthwhile. The second season will presumably pick up where the first season left off, with the beginning of the story arc titled Season of the Mists in the comics. I just started the Sandman book 2, by the way, and I'm about a third of the way into it. So far, it's amazing, as was book 1, and I expect nothing less out of it. But anyway, back to the article. According to Deadline, the renewal confirmation comes after an accidental leak on the DC Comics Twitter account. Quote, "The dream continues. The Sandman will return for new episodes based on multiple volumes of the Neil Gaiman graphic novel to explore even more stories of the endless," the since-deleted tweet read. Speaking to comicbook.com in August, when Netflix released a bonus episode of The Sandman, Gaiman and showrunner Alan Heinberg discussed which Sandman stories they most anticipated adapting. They actually start off talking about one of my favorite Sandman side stories. Quote, "A Midsummer Night's Dream," Gaiman said. "I really want to see that. Really want to see Ramadan, and I love the fact that one of the reasons I'm saying I want to see Ramadan is because I don't know how we would do it. Would we move back into animation for that? Would we create a whole new way of storytelling? How do you indicate that you're in a story and the story world rather than in our reality? And I think I would love, and one that I'm really excited to tell, really doesn't have dream in it at all, which is a story called Hobbes's Leviathan, which is a whole gambling on a tall ship out in the ocean story in, I think, about 1905, 1890s maybe, and I would love to see that story done, mostly just because I think Kingsley's Hob is one of my favorite things on screen. It was just a glorious surprise in episode 6, how funny and grounded and human he manages to be, also being awful sometimes, and I would love to see that character, just see more of it," end quote. To be honest, there are so many books and side stories. I've not read those last two, I don't think, that he's referencing, so I'm gonna have to buy book 1 and go through it all over again. But seriously, there are so many places to take this story. It can go on for season after season with side stories and spin-offs and dovetails before coming back to one central theme for every season. I think that's one of the reasons why I love these graphic novels so much. But anyway, I digress. Back to the article. Heinberg said, quote, "I vote yes to all of those. I would add the Parliament of Brooks to that list, which I hope we'll be able to get to do, and 3 Septembers and a January. I would love to do all of those worlds, and actually, if we could somehow manage it as its own miniseries perhaps, but now I'm getting greedy," end quote. The Sandman's first season is now streaming now on Netflix. The Sandman Season 1 currently sits at 87% average with an 80% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Honestly, I can see how a normie, for lack of a better term, wouldn't really enjoy the series. However, I can also see how a normie would totally get into it. It's so weird and wacky. The show does a pretty damn good job of explaining most things so that you're not entirely lost. I absolutely loved Season 1 and thought that they adapted the source material about as good as you could have hoped for. Neil Gaiman always plays a big part in adapting his own works to the big and small screens, like with Good Omens on Prime. That show is also amazing, by the way. You should definitely check it out if you haven't already. I mean, David Tennant as a demon? Hell yes. Gaiman did say that he updated the story with Netflix to be how he would have written it today, since he started writing all this back in the 80s. So I get that there will be some changes and whatnot. Nothing too bad, however. All in all, I am super pumped for this, and even more so because no one was certain that even with the great reviews and streaming numbers that this would even happen, because the show's budget is so damn big, as it needed to be by the show's very nature. Who else is watching? Make sure to comment with how you feel about all of this and what you're most excited to see in Season 2. Also, comment with your thoughts on Season 1 of the hit show. Share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell to be notified every time we bring brand new content to you on TV, video games, movies, and of course, pro wrestling. I've been Troy for Marks on TV, and we'll see you next time.